I will have order. You have had your time, Mrs. Oompa Loompa chewed smack. It is now time for Mr. Goldstein to have his closing arguments. One more outburst, and I will beat you with a rubber hose.
Your Honor, I be Swag Goldstein, Esquire, a legal practitioner of renowned repute, will now lay down my argument demonstrating the wrongful treatment endured by Mr. Wagner at the hands of Patricia. Had she simply divulged her intentions honestly and forthrightly, expressing her desire for a divorce and the reasons behind it, my client could have expedited his healing process and moved forward with his life in a timelier manner. The subsequent cascade of turmoil and acrimony could have been averted, and it is not beyond the realm of possibility that they could have remained amicable acquaintances. For my client possesses a generous spirit, readily offering forgiveness when met with respect and candor. However, Patricia chose a different path, one steeped in self-interest and deception. She failed to disclose her infidelity to my client, even before he retired. Had she done so, my client would have reconsidered his retirement plans, continuing his fruitful employment at the Department of Veteran Affairs and potentially witnessing his 401k so well to a sum of approximately $120,000 to $130,000. Miss Marshall's egocentric actions, coupled with the circumstances surrounding the incident, were set in motion by her initial acts of deception and were perpetuated by her failure to disclose the complete truth to my client in the aftermath. Through her silence, she subjected him to emotional distress and anguish, rooted in his feelings of loyalty, love, and an uncertain future. By the time he uncovered her extramarital affair, he had already retired, a decision influenced by her conniving and manipulative tactics, including coercing him into dispersing $8,000 to settle her 401k obligation for her fake anchor-scarred breast, which never healed properly, due to the copious amounts of drugs she and I will admit my client were taking at the time. But she falsely asserted that it had been paid off in full prior to his retirement when they went to divorce court previously. Although his previous legal representation regrettably neglected to submit his bank statements, stock market reports, and 401k documents, which he turned in, and he also brought in an extra copy to bring in as evidence just in case. Patricia's attorney raised an objection, which the presiding judge unwisely sustained, thus perpetuating a misguided belief in her false claims, when he was the realest of real. Nonetheless, my client can substantiate the commission of 5 counts of perjury on her part. And while the 6th count pertaining to the so-called hall pass remains unproven, it undeniably steeps in deceit, as it happened. So a woman who cheats on her husband, who has been her ride or die husband for 25 years and has an affair, isn't the one who led to the incident? We all know she is. Not only an affair, but an affair with her boss, which we all know is the most basic bitch of affairs on the planet, and no one can object to that. At the point of Patricia's affair, my client was loyal to the coil, doing no wrong, and had planned to be with her forever. Miss Marshall began her affair. It is clearly obvious that this was not a no-fault divorce. This was a Patricia Marshall fault divorce. My client vehemently denies engaging in an affair driven by love or emotional attachment. I must also note that he once demonstrated restraint by refraining from pursuing an affair with a certain Kayla Kennedy, an individual of remarkable beauty. I must add, a true bella signora. Miss Marshall, on the other hand, exhibited a cunning ability to conceal her actions while still displaying affection toward my client. However, this behavior served only to deceive and manipulate. Following their vacation to Cancun, my client made a remark, purported a basic bitch affair statement that may have made her aware that he knew of her transgressions. Instead of her addressing these problems, working to salvage their relationship, she chose to openly engage in these affairs, further exacerbating my client's emotional turmoil. This in turn contributed to his loss of focus on his dream job. Whereas any career she wholeheartedly wanted to do, Mr. Waggle supported Patricia and had all the faith in the world. If it didn't work out, she would be okay, as she gave it her all, and he would be there to catch her if she fell. Can we truly consider this fair? It is crucial to acknowledge my client's substantial contribution to the family, both financially and emotionally. Let us not forget the significant sums he dispersed for recreational substances, which, based on my client's recollections, were never reciprocated by Miss Marshall. In fact, I would like to cite the case of Harrelson versus McConaughey, where it was established that such behavior represents poor drug etiquette and is a breach of trust. So we have another issue of her self-obsessed ways. Due to Ms. Marshall's failure to disclose pertinent information prior to his retirement, my client no longer possesses his 401k because most of it went to the family account. $62,000 to the family account in 2021, whereas Patricia contributed amount to a mere $39,000 when she was making close to $94,000 that year. Following the discovery of Facebook Messenger messages exchanged with a certain Clark W. Bilson, my client found himself entangled. Entanglements involving various women for a span of 2.5 months before he settled down, 2 days prior to his goal date. Eventually, he recognized that his true happiness lies in a committed relationship with a single individual, akin to the near 25-year union he shared with Patricia. However, the repercussions of Miss Marshall's seductive behavior have inflicted great harm upon my client. It led to the incident that should have never occurred, resulting in his current difficulties obtaining employment, forcing him to engage in manual labor for the first time in his life. It is worth mentioning that my client went 12 of 14 months making a profit in the stock market. But from April of 22 on, he realized Patricia was having an affair. He then lost money 7 of the next 8 months as he had lost his focus, drive, and passion due to Patricia's actions. Why did he believe she was having an affair? On a particular night in April of 22, when Patricia abruptly woke from her slumber on the couch, frantically searching for her phone, even asking Mr. Waggle what he did with her phone, as Mr. Waggle sat on the adjacent couch that whole time, not bothering anyone like usual. She eventually located the phone between the couch cushions. While my client never invaded her privacy, he couldn't help but find her actions peculiar, prompting him to conduct further investigation. He began to contemplate Ms. Marshall's newfound protectiveness over her phone, as she now slept with it under her pillow, whereas previously she simply left it on the chair in their bedroom. It had gone unnoticed by Bo in the past due to the foundations of unconditional love and trust. He proceeded to scrutinize the cell phone records on Sprint.com, which revealed an excessive amount of text messages exchanged with a particular phone number at all hours of the day and night, regardless of weekends or weekdays. Intrigued, he conducted a reverse directory search on the number, which revealed it registered under the name of Clark W. Bilson, Patricia's boss. My client became certain that an affair was transpiring. Additionally, he recalled that over the past 2 years, Patricia would disappear to a hotel for 2 days every 3 months, purportedly to recharge her battery. However, it became apparent to us all that she was rendezvousing with Mr. Bilson, who attempted to recharge her battery. with his lackluster and unaspiring love-making skills, or as Patricia would call it, a lame lay. Patricia herself candidly admitted to my client that she only occasionally found satisfaction with him, and he would occasionally struggle with maintaining an erection. Though these conversations took place via text message, one might question why would a woman make such derogatory remarks about her new partner. The answer is simple: a callous and cold-hearted temptress, the likes which can only be described as a stone-cold black-hearted Jezebel. Both thought an affair was going on, but for 2 years, he did not believe so. He also noticed she was taking more single-person drives, and they used to do those together, and smoked a blunt or two. And yes, on her one-person drives, did she still take a blunt out of Mr. Waggle's personal bag? Yes, she did. And I would like to bring up the case of Brodus versus Nelson, where it was proven that action is a weed etiquette crime, requiring payback ×3 if already doing something nefarious. She also would put her phone down quicker than usual anytime Bo came in the room, and her body language screamed, "Lying whore." He observed her closer and closer for the next 2 months without saying anything to her. He also could have checked Facebook, as she had given him her password prior to Mr. Waggle was able to watch some WWE events. She never said he couldn't go back in there again, but he just never did, because he didn't want to see it. But he kept observing, and then he would question things. And it did lead to a good man, Mr. Optimistic, turning into a pathetic pushover bitch boy, which led to his murder. And she is not responsible for all of this? I think we all know she is, and is guilty of perjury, heartbreak, murder, postal animal shittiness, and adultery. Might I add, she did cost my client to get some pussy from a Russian girl with a cute accent, as he didn't want to use his hall pass. Then later cost him at least a blowjob from his ex-girlfriend in front of one of her friends. And it had happened before, so possibly cost him a threesome. So on top of all the other counts, she committed 2 counts of cock blockery, which, as you know, is a serious offense, according to the Barry Blue Balls case of 1969. I rest my case, Your Honor. Goldstein out.